Good morning, Namaskar, Adab. Welcome to Z Talks. My name is Shaharyar Zaidi, and today we have started before time. Yes, the first thing that I'm most happy about is the fact that we have started before time. Uh, I see that we have been joined by viewers already. Nice to know, nice to see you all. If you can write a hi in the chat box, we would like to see whoever is watching us right now. And before we start off with today's podcast, I'd like to give you some extra information that today I'm doing this podcast from a friend's place because, as you know, that the previous podcast live stream didn't go so well. So today I'm at my friend Anmesh place with whom I did my last podcast, who is running his YouTube channel, this football podcast, and looks like we're doing great. The stream is going beautifully well. Nice. So welcome again. My name is Shaharyar Zaidi, and welcome to episode 5 today, where we will be discussing about transforming the Indian women football. Indian women football is something which has been a very interesting field to me. It has always intrigued me. I've always wanted to know more about it, but I've always been, I've always thought where to start. There's I mean, even if you go online, the most any diehard Indian football fan knows about Indian women football is that our Indian women football ranks higher than the men's football team in the world rankings, and that's it. We don't know much more about it. We don't know anything much more than that. And today, I that is why I wanted to invite an expert, a person who has worked in this field for many years, and get her perspective and get to know more about our Indian women football from her. So, as you know, Z Talks is all about inviting people and getting to know about their journey, what they're doing, and more importantly, how they're doing it. So today, I would like to welcome the founder of Women in Sports India on Z Talks podcast, Vaidehi Vaidya. Hi, Vaidehi.
Hello. Hi.
How are you doing, Vaidehi? I hope you're doing well.
I am well. I am well, as well as I can be um, in this difficult situation. I hope everybody who's listening to us is also doing well and staying safe um, and staying at home.
Great, great. So before we start discussing about today's topic, first of all, I would like to introduce Vaidehi to all of you. So Vaidehi, currently she is the founder of Women in Sports India, but this is not how her journey started. She was originally she was studying engineering. She was in engineering, and at that point of time, she got introduced to football, and that really transformed her journey from there. And after that, she did her master's in football administration from University of Liverpool. And I'll stop just over there because I would be interested in knowing more about her journey and where she started and how she ended up in this role today. So, Vedi, if you can share more information, you can share that whole journey with us in terms of how it all started and how did you land up here today?
Okay, so quickly, being an engineer is not new to Indians, honestly, and that is, yeah, I mean that is perfectly fine. We have engineering brains, so many of us choose engineering as our careers, and there is a path set for us in that sector.
Hmm.
But I have always been a player, and when I was a kid, I started playing taekwondo. I experimented with swimming because swimming, everybody should know swimming. It's a survival skill.
Hmm.
I learned cricket for a bit. I learned badminton for a bit, and then I basically was introduced to football during my engineering years. And knowing that, I always wanted to do something in sports. I didn't know that till I reached engineering.
Hmm.
But it was something I always loved doing, going out and playing.
Hmm.
So when I was in final year of engineering, I realized that there were like campus interviews going on, and people were sitting for aptitude tests and interviews and whatnot, and all of them had one thing in common. It was a 9 to 5 desk job,
Hmm.
and I did not want to fall into the same trap. I didn't want to do 9 to 5. I didn't like it. I don't like desk jobs. It was me. For many others, it's perfectly fine, but for it wasn't for me.
Hmm.
And being an outdoors person, being somebody who always plays on ground, I didn't want to be confined to a cubicle.
Hmm.
And I hate mundane. I hate monotony. I wanted every day to be different. So then I thought, yeah, sports is that field.
Hmm.
Sports is something that will bring me new surprises every day.
Hmm.
That will not confine me to one space.
Hmm.
It will allow me to interact with different people. It will allow me to experience many different situations, which I have over the years. And that is why I chose sports as my career, without thinking a lot. At that point of
Okay.
time, I was young. um, I didn't know how it was going to be in 7 years, 10 years, what my life was going to be like. But still, I thought this is the best thing that I have done. uh, and that is where my sports journey started. So in the last year, I decided, okay, yeah, I want to do something in sports. What is the sport that I liked the most? And that was football, because I started playing football when I was in, I think, second year of my engineering, which was quite late. And the reason for choosing management side of sports is when you start late,
Hmm.
you have very less chance of becoming a professional player. The
Hmm.
sooner you start,
Hmm.
the better chances you have of reaching to the top. And I
Absolutely.
started at 19. That was like way too late. um, so I mean, I wanted to stay connected to football, but I couldn't be player. So what was my choice? So that's when I realized, okay, yeah, I need to do something in the management side of football. So I
Hmm.
started searching for courses, and I came across a course called Football Industries MBA, which is conducted by Liverpool University in UK, which is not run by Liverpool club.
Liverpool
It's
Club.
a proper university which is ranked very high in
Uh-huh.
in UK education system. So I found that, but the thing was, they needed 2 years of experience. So I took 2 years of experience and applied again. And
Just
this
for
time
just
I
for that particular course.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
nice. That's
uh,
nice.
so then I was chosen, and I went to UK. I did the course. And during that course, I did a phenomenal project on women's sports, or women's football in India, with UEFA and another organization called Asian Football Development Project, which is AFDP Global now.
Hmm.
um, and that was like a joint project funded by UEFA and concept by AFDP. And during that project, I traveled across India, lengths and breadths of India. I went to rural parts of India to understand how football is in those regions, or
Hmm.
is it there even?
Hmm.
Has it reached the lowest hanging fruit? You know,
Hmm.
of India.
Hmm.
And it was a phenomenal experience. It was, I think, one of the best experiences of my life till today.
Hmm.
Sorry. And it taught me a lot of stuff about women's football.
Hmm.
And that was also an origin of Women in Sport India. That's when the ideas about starting a company
Hmm.
uh, s- started. And I think I will give a lot of credit to the concept of the project, because who I am today is that project is a big part of that.
Okay.
um, so yeah, that's my long story short. It wasn't really short though. It was long one, but
But
yeah,
well,
that's where I am
I'm
today.
very sure like a lot of people will be also interested in about managing football because I guess all of us just do it in those virtual, online games where we get to, we think of managing a club or, learning about those aspects. But no one really, I guess nobody in India thinks about sports as a career, or even studying about it
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, yeah,
And then you
absolutely.
dedicatedly spend 2 years just to get that work experience and going back again. I mean,
Yeah,
that is some
yeah.
dedication.
I so did not want to work in engineering field. That's another motivation. That's yeah.
I guess you must have been marking your days. हाँ आज 1.5 साल हो गया है 6 महीने हो
Yeah,
गए
I
6 महीने
kind of
बचे
was. I kind of was. And I mean, I knew that when I started working in engineering field for those 2 years,
yeah
I knew why it wasn't meant for me. I am not with like by brain. I
yeah
am not an engineer. There are people who are like who do not even need engineering degree to say that we are engineers. I
correct
was
correct
not. I am still not an engineer. I just have a degree of engineering.
degree
That's it.
yeah that's nice really interesting really interesting. So I guess after that you came back to India, right? Once you completed your studies over there, and then you.
Yeah.
So what happened after that? I mean, did you straight, you know, straight you got into Women in Sport India? You founded it, or you worked somewhere else? Work deeper onto your project. What did happen after that?
Okay, so the company that I mentioned before, AFDP,
Hmm.
um, they picked me up right after my MBA.
Hmm.
So when I came back to India with a job, and I was, I think, the first one to get one. I was the
Okay.
youngest in the class, and I was
Okay.
the first one to get the job.
Okay.
And with the job was in Asia, the Asian
Okay.
Football Development Project.
Okay.
So the projects that I was working on were essentially all over Asia, and India is centrally located,
Hmm.
travel wise and like everything for everything.
Hmm.
So India was definitely the best place for me to be in,
Hmm.
uh, because, like I said, it's equidistant from
Hmm.
each sides of the continent.
Hmm.
So I came back with a job, and I worked with AFDP for almost 4.5 years, 5 years, I think. And then I decided that I want to do something on my own. So I started working with different athletes,
Hmm.
um, and I started helping them build their brands, and I started helping them with marketing themselves.
Nice.
I helped them tell their stories and stuff like that. I started
Hmm.
with that.
Hmm.
uh, but at the same time, I had already founded Women in Sport India as like an online forum
Hmm.
during years that I was working
Hmm.
with AFDP and also on my own later on, because the reason for that was I wanted to connect with women like me. And as we all know, sports is very male dominated field still.
Hmm.
um,
Can understand.
Changing rapidly for sure, but it
Hmm.
is still a male dominated field, and there are few women working in sports field. So I
Hmm.
wanted to connect with them just to see what they are doing, how I can be successful in sports, um, if they can guide me, mentor me, to go higher, um, in the sports field, for so many things, and that's basically the reason why I started Women in Sport India. It came out of my own need, and it started growing, a little bit, not a lot, little
Hmm.
by little. um, and then in January, actually, yeah, January 2020, or actually November 2019, I took a decision of converting that into a company. And
Great.
just before we went into lockdown, luckily I registered it as a company, and yeah, it has been busy. I would say that um, the lockdown period was not uh,
Was
relaxing
not a
at all.
lockdown at work.
Yeah, it was not like a break for me. I did a lot of things. I connected with so many people, and it benefited me because everybody had a free time a little bit, right? um, so yeah, that's my whole journey till today. And yeah,
Nice.
so yeah, today I'm
Nice.
manager director of Women in Sport India.
Awesome. That's awesome. So we'll get more. Ask you for more details related to Women's Sports India.
Yeah,
But as you were
yeah.
mentioning that you were working on the project where you were focusing on women football, and that too at the grassroots level. So,
Yeah,
what was your experience over there? What did you find? How were things over there? If you can share your experience related to that about the especially the grassroots level of Indian women football.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this was 7 years back,
Hmm.
in 2013,
Hmm.
and lot has changed over the
Hmm.
last 7 years,
Hmm.
right? I will start with what I observed during
Hmm.
my research project, and I'm
Hmm.
sure that some of those things have changed.
Hmm.
So there are some things which we don't even think about, are very very critical, uh, in sports field, especially for girls and women.
Hmm.
And one of them is attire, sports attire.
Okay.
uh, I am a city girl, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, when I wear sports attire, when I wear shorts, t-shirts,
Hmm.
my parents don't say don't go out
Hmm.
or don't go out to play,
Correct.
or they don't say okay, you will get bruised, who's going to marry you. Never, never do they say that, right? So as a city girl, I was not used to it.
Hmm.
I was not even aware of it,
Hmm.
honestly. But as you go in rural parts of India,
Hmm.
it is a big deal.
Hmm.
Forget wearing shorts. If you wear tracksuits,
Hmm.
which is a full attire,
Hmm.
even that is not allowed.
Okay.
And that stops many girls from playing any kind of sports.
Okay.
So it was kind of a shock for me.
Hmm.
The second thing was obviously safety, and I'm not talking about from a sexual harassment point of view.
Hmm.
I am talking about from a commute point of view. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
um,
Correct.
there are a lot of girls who stay in remote regions, and there is hardly any transportation. There is a
Hmm.
transportation. In India, I think transportation network is strong.
Hmm.
If there is no railway, then there is at least a bus. But that entire journey from coming from that one point to the other
Hmm.
point to
Hmm.
play is not always safe.
Hmm.
And this I realized in the northeast region more than any other region.
Correct.
And because when I went there for my research project,
Hmm.
uh, it was an unstable area. um,
Okay.
I remember, and majority of the players at that point of time came from that region. They
Hmm.
are just phenomenal football players. You will go there and you will see
Absolutely.
this. They are just like, I don't know what it is about them, but it's, I think, genetic.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Everybody says that.
yeah, I don't think they don't even need to learn how to play football. Like
Correct.
when they
Correct.
are born, they just know.
Yeah.
um, and the enthusiasm about the sport in northeast region
Hmm.
is just amazing. I was there for 2 days, 2 or 3 days, I think. And they had, so I was in Manipur,
Hmm.
and Manipur state team had a match against FPI, that's Football Players Association of India,
Hmm.
FPI players. And it was not even like state or national level match. It was just between two teams, one
Correct.
state team and one is FPI team.
Correct.
And I think the stadium, they have two stadiums in Imphal,
Uh-huh.
and one stadium, the match was in one stadium. I think it was a bigger one, or I don't remember if it was
Uh-huh.
big one or a small one. But the entire stadium was full. I mean, you would not. We had to beg
Oh
uh,
God. Oh
to the like the state administrators to spare us some seats, and
oh
that
God.
that was only because we I had national team players, women's team players with me.
Oh,
Bem Bem Devi was one of them.
and
If
she was
you
also there.
know who she is, yeah, I met her, and
Okay.
she's one of the sweetest person that you would meet. And everybody in Northeast is like, I don't know, they are happy, they are just kind, and I think, yeah, I mean, I would go back and stay there if I can.
Oh,
uh,
nice.
yeah, I mean, the people there are just, oh man, they are, I think, one of the best people in India.
Hmm.
I would market them. uh, uh, but yeah, we got a chance to see that match, and it was just like you would see a Liverpool United match maybe. It was There was like, there were
Hmm.
people shouting, and it was just amazing. And the next day, Imphal was under curfew. Nobody was going
Oh.
to Nobody was allowed to go out, because they had a lot of safety issues then, and that was there every day.
Hmm.
So you would understand the importance of safety there. I could, and I remember one of the players told me, do not open your hotel door for anybody,
Oh.
even if they say they are hotel staffs. Do not open your door. So
Okay.
I remember that, because it was every day for them. I think the things have changed a lot now,
Hmm.
but from a player's perspective, especially from a female player's perspective,
Hmm.
it was not a very safe situation.
Yeah.
And despite of that, our national team had the most number of players from the northeast region. That
Correct.
would tell you the kind of enthusiasm they have towards football.
Correct.
And I really admire, and I really respect their dedication. So that was one of the things that I saw and experienced, which as a city girl, I mean, a Pune city girl, I don't think I would have even thought about. We don't have military presence on our road every day.
Correct.
Um, so yeah, I think these two things, and the third one, which was an observation for me, was the language barrier. I mean, I'm proud of our Indian culture and the
Hmm.
diversity that we have
Hmm.
linguistically, culturally, and stuff like that. But when you come together as a team,
Hmm.
if you don't have a common language, how are
Hmm.
you going to play on the field?
Hmm.
I am talking in Marathi,
Hmm.
somebody else is talking in Malayalam,
Hmm.
the third person is talking in Hindi, and we don't understand each other.
Hmm.
That's a difficult situation, especially in team game, and that is still persistent. So there needs to be some sort of solution to that.
Hmm.
And like, yeah, obviously, majority of us understand Hindi,
Hmm.
uh, but there are some regions which don't. So we
I'm
need to
sure.
we need to
I'm sure.
yeah, we need to understand how we can, you know um, yeah, find solution on it. So I think these three things I found to be very informative. And
Hmm.
yeah, so apart from the obvious stuff, um, of women's sport not being the prominent sport in India, or globally for that matter, not just in India.
Correct.
These three things are practical, and these three things can, solve a lot of problems. And you can find solutions on these three things because you can see them, right?
Hmm.
Cultural aspect of women's sports or women's football is something that you cannot visually comprehend.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think, yeah, from the experience perspective, I think these things, yeah, these were new to me. um,
But do we
yeah.
have like those training academies, or I mean, do we have a good presence of them, especially the grassroots level? Because I guess the thing that we're talking about, like security and the freedom to play with the correct attire and not being judged by the society at the same point of time for the parents also.
Mm.
I guess these kind of things are taken care of a lot by the academy. So do we have those kind of like we have that presence at the grassroots level?
Yes, we do. We do now.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of non-profit organizations
Mm-hmm.
in various parts of India are working towards breaking these barriers through football.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I can name many of them. But yes, so they are essentially grassroots academies as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what they are trying to do is to teach life skills through football, and to also teach parents how it is important to
Mm-hmm.
for a girl to play sports from a health perspective, from a nutrition perspective,
Mm-hmm.
from medical perspective. So yeah, there are a lot of non-profit or NGOs working in the sectors, but also there are legitimate football grassroots academies which are now being open in different parts of India, including rural regions of India, because majority of our talent comes from that part, right?
Absolutely,
So
no doubt.
there are a lot of, I mean, it wasn't there before, but I'm absolutely sure that there are a lot of people working at the grassroots level of football,
Yeah.
especially in girls football, for sure. Yes.
And yeah, I guess if given the proper training and nutrition to the talent from the from the rural areas, I'm damn sure they can perform better than the you know kids from the urban areas who are getting all those facilities. I mean, if they're
Yeah.
able to even not even match them, but bring at a similar level, I'm very sure like they will easily beat the urban kids any day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll give you an example. I did a webinar called Plan B with Anjali Shah. She's the football committee member, women's football committee member of AIFF. And during that webinar, uh, there was uh, a coach called Narendra,
Mm-hmm.
and he showed us a live view of his academy. And
Mm-hmm.
in his academy, which is in rural regions of India,
Mm-hmm.
he has about 100 girls playing every day,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing to see, because I had never thought of that number. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you would not see 100 girls playing in Pune or Mumbai, for that matter, at grassroots level, and he's been able to do that. So it is amazing to see what people are doing at grassroots level. It's a recent change, but it's a welcome one.
Nice, really
Yeah.
nice. So like yeah, you were talking about AIFF also. So I mean, how has been their role in this whole scenario? What are the things that they're trying to do?
Yeah.
I'm sure that they must be taking some welcome steps to improve the whole situation. And what are the still the areas that we must be seeing every day? Where some improvement can be done, and we can take the whole sport to the to another level, especially I mean in the
Yeah.
women football area.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they are doing a few things. If I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's a big step to host under 17 Women's World Cup. It's
Correct.
a very encouraging step. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's it's one thing that AFF has done.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to encourage a lot of young girls into
Mm-hmm.
football. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing that they are doing, I think, is the little leagues,
Okay.
to encourage grassroots and to encourage girls as well. So they essentially help you set up these leagues in your region.
Mm-hmm.
um, and if you have enough number of girls playing for your academy, you can set one up for yourself. um, so that is something that they are doing. They have, in last
And the
few years,
support
they have.
also in like in
Yeah, they support in terms of equipment, and from a setting up point of view, from administration point of view, they help you do that as well,
nice.
which is required, because
Mm-hmm.
not everybody knows how to set up an event. um, so they do that. And there is also a national level league which is called
Mm-hmm.
IWL,
Mm-hmm.
contemporary to I League, I think.
Okay.
So IWL is a national level league where they are now conducting regional qualifiers, and then national qualifiers, and the
Awesome.
qualified clubs go in and play in that league, which is required, I think. But one of the things that I would suggest or request AIFF to look into is making it long term, or
Mm-hmm.
increasing the duration you know uh, over 6 months at least, because currently the league is 1.5 month at the max. But we need people to play consistently.
Correct.
We need girls to play, because let's say, for example, if we request ISL clubs to um, have women's team for their clubs,
Mm-hmm.
one of the comments of many different ISL clubs is that if we want to spend as much money on our women's league or women's team as we spend on our men's team, or we want to make sure that if we want to make sure that our women's team is equal to our men's team, then we need a league of equivalent period. You know, do you understand what I mean? Like,
Correct.
if they are going to spend money on their women's teams, they want their women's teams to play equal amount, uh,
Correct.
of equal number of matches at least, or yeah, I mean, at least for 6 months. So it's a valid point. um, and I think that it needs to be thought of course.
Mm,
So I mean, that would be my suggestion or request to AFF. I think we need to think about long duration or long period leagues where women
makes sense.
can go and essentially play for over weekends, maybe. I don't know uh, how they would want to organize that, but yeah, uh, if that is done, lot many clubs will actually start girls teams. It's not that they don't want to do it, it's that they want to do it properly.
Correct. They want that
That's
right pool to come to them. Otherwise,
and
if we can't do it the right way, then what's the point of doing it at the end of the day?
exactly, that's their point. And it's not because they can't do it,
Mm,
or it's not lack of will that is
mm,
stopping them. It's that they want to have a long duration league. I think that's yeah, I think, and it's a valid request. Even I feel that even at the district level, state level, national level, the leagues need to be longer.
mm,
You cannot start a league and end it in 1 month.
mm,
That's just it. Then it kind of feels like you're doing it just for the sake of doing it, right?
mm.
um, so which is, I think, not what AIFF wants to do. They are considering the fact that they are hosting under 17 women's world cup. They are seriously thinking about women's football.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
That
that
shows
has
the
to
intent.
reflect, yeah, and that has to reflect in the at national level, or national level leagues as well. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, that would be my request to them, that think about longer leagues, think about longer leagues.
Nice, nice. So I mean, I was going to talk to you about the ISL part also, but I guess you've already answered that question through this.
Yeah,
Where the founders and management are, is interested in taking the women football to the another level. They're just
yeah,
waiting for the right steps to be taken before that, so that they can do it in a proper way. Great.
yeah, yeah,
Great. So we've got a question actually on the YouTube live chat. I guess before we get go on to the next question, I know if it is of your expertise of your but if you can answer it, nothing better. So Tanmay Chakraborty has asked this that people who would want to work in the grassroots level once completing the first level license, can we get in touch with the major I League or ISL teams for coaching badges?
I am not sure what do you mean by coaching badges, but we have a structure
Hmm.
of for getting licenses. And currently, the AFF has revised that structure. So earlier it was license D, which
Hmm.
was a grassroots license,
Hmm.
and then C, B, A, and Pro.
Hmm.
So we had these five, but now for grassroots level, they have started a coaching license, E.
Okay.
Um, and I mean, if you look at, I mean, somebody like Bangalore FC, for example, their academy just got 2-star, status from AFC. Their academy, I spoke to, I often, I speak to Mandar Tamane, Mr. Mandar Tamane. He's the CEO of Bangalore FC. And when I was talking to him, he said, uh, I, I want my grassroots to be the best,
Hmm.
because that's where he's going to get his players. You
Absolutely.
know, uh, he actually, he said the homegrown players are very important.
Hmm.
And if even if one or two players from that grassroots program play for my starting 11,
Hmm.
that's one of the best things that he can do. So he's very, very serious about grassroots level programs. And absolutely, if you have interest, and I think a lot of the other ISL clubs also have grassroots academies, it's part of their mandate, and they have good grassroots programs, if I'm correct. So if you are interested in becoming, a coach in grassroots who is very, very serious about developing grassroots, absolutely the clubs will definitely welcome you, because they always need somebody, right? But you have to start from the lowest level. You have to start from probably a local club in your own region, and then start from there. You have to have innovative mind, innovative ideas about grassroots, because grassroots is not for producing professional players. That's a very, very big misconcept that we have. Grassroots essentially is to make sure that the children are having fun while they are playing football. And that's how you retain them for longer duration. And then some of the players from this pool will then start showing skills. Then you can pick out those players and then send them to a coach who's going to look at them from a professional perspective. But grassroots coach and professional coach is not the same. you know
Okay.
Grassroots essentially is the most important element, because they make sure that the girls or the children
Hmm.
maintain that interest in sports
Hmm.
long enough to show their skills. If you are thinking from professional perspective, or you're thinking from developing players at
Hmm.
young age, then you need to become a professional coach.
Okay. That is different.
Grassroots is not
That
for
is
you.
different from grassroots coach or saying.
Absolutely, because grassroots, winning is not the point.
Oh
It's
yeah.
about player development,
Hmm.
and maintaining that fun aspect of sport.
Hmm.
uh, like I said, long enough to hand them over to a professional coach. That's why I think grassroots is more important, because professional coaches already get professional and skilled players.
Hmm.
Grassroots coaches are the reason that the players go to the professional coaches. So I think there you need to have very, very clear idea in your mind about what grassroots coaching is. So yeah, if
But
that answers your question
yeah,
at all. I don't know if I did actually.
but a follow
Yeah.
question to that, which I'm sure that you'll be interested in knowing, is like, is it like, does it does it pay? Is it like a well-paying profession? Because I'm sure that every time anybody would like to make that kind of a career decision, they would
Yeah.
always wait against something else, another opportunity cost, right? So is it
Yeah.
like a well-paying job or profession?
It depends on the person that you're working for, honestly.
Okay.
If that person actually understands the importance of grassroots,
Mm-hmm.
they will pay you. uh, and I think they should, because it's a like I said, it's a very, very important job. I coached at a local academy here,
Mm-hmm.
and being a grassroots coach is a tough job. It's a very, very, very tough job. you know uh, because essentially you're teaching and coaching a bunch of kids who
Mm-hmm.
do not care about skills. They are just there to have fun and meet their friends, and then to get into that mindset. Okay, it's not about you know m- making them professional players, but it is just to make sure that they are to maintain their interest in sports is a tough job for a coach. From getting out of that professional mindset into getting into that grassroots coach mindset is something that I'm just learning myself. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough job. So if your employer understands how tough it is and how
Hmm.
important it is, they will pay you. And I think the mindset is changing. I think
Hmm.
at least the top level clubs are really seriously thinking about grassroots academies, and many of them already have grassroots
Hmm.
academies, and there are so many grassroots academies now, because yeah, I mean, people are understanding the importance of grassroots. And the other solution to it is a pay and play program.
Hmm.
um, Football is such a popular sport among kids
Hmm.
today that, you know, if you start something, uh, I'm sure you will get students there, uh, because children love to play football. And so yeah, that's another solution to it. But yeah, the grassroots coaches should get paid. is that's my opinion, honestly.
Hmm. I'm sure. So, then I hope your answer question has been answered now. And if you think about working at the grassroots level, you have much more clarity about it. Uh, Now, just coming towards the end of our podcast, uh, really, I mean, as you said that, Women in Sports India, through this, you have been working, not just, you generally working sports domain, but if you have to
Yeah.
share your experience, like through your organization, how you're trying to make an impact, especially in the Indian women football and, Indian women football. So how has been the whole journey? What are the things that you are trying to do, and if uh, and what is the kind of support that you think that should be there from the general public also? If you can shed some light on that.
Absolutely. So, Women in Sport India is again not a very specific sport oriented
Okay.
company. I I would say it is for everybody, every woman, girl who wants to be in sports,
Hmm.
or who is interested in sports, and who is willing to, or who is, you know, motivated to learn more
Hmm.
about sports.
Hmm.
So I try not to bifurcate my initiatives according to sports.
Hmm.
And one of the important gaps that I found during my years in sports is the requirement of knowledge and availability of knowledge, you know, or availability of platforms providing that knowledge.
Exactly.
Secondly, there are a lot of people working in women's sports, but the communication is missing among them,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So you would say there are, like I said, non-profits working in sports, there are federations who are working in sports, there are companies like me, there
Hmm.
are there are players who are working on individual level for the betterment of sports,
Hmm.
women's sports, but unfortunately they are not talking to each other. And that makes uh, the efforts that they are taking uh, multifold, you know.
Hmm.
It takes them more efforts to reach their goal.
Hmm.
But instead, if they start communicating with each other and start sharing their initiatives, maybe somebody out there can help them do their job faster.
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
so that is another gap that I realized there is.
Hmm.
So through Women in Sport India, I am essentially trying to bridge that gap, if you will. On a personal level, and through company, I keep on, you know, bringing these people uh, on different initiatives. I recently, I think day before or yesterday, I spoke to different nonprofits working in sports, and they are doing some amazing job. You know, they are working in such a diverse field. You know, there was one 15-year-old girl who had started teaching chess to underprivileged kids, and she has about 200 kids under her, learning chess every day, which is a phenomenal thing to do, but nobody else knows about it, right?
Hmm.
um, so that's what I'm trying to do through Women in Sport. I'm trying to provide knowledge,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to provide network,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to bring everybody who's working in sports, women's sports, together, essentially, through
Great.
different initiatives. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a lot in
So
women's
if
sports.
anybody wants to, hearing about your great initiative and about your organization, they would like to join you and be a
Yeah.
part of the team. Are there opportunities right now? Would you like to tell more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm launching a program this month, second half of this month,
Okay.
for which I will probably need interns. So I will be posting about that in some time.
Hmm.
Not today, but like in a few days, probably.
Oh.
And yes, of course, there are definitely opportunities uh, that that will uh, that will be created in due time.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I always need help, right? So I am very, very active on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So if like anybody wants to get in touch with me to know if there are opportunities or not, just keep an eye on my LinkedIn profile. And whenever something comes up, you will see there for sure. I am very active on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw the last post on which even I commented where you were looking to connect with some other academies. I guess these were the no, so
yeah,
you were
yeah.
the
So that's
you were trying to connect with non-profits, and there was
yeah.
like about
So
30 comments I saw that
and now I think
presents.
I have about 59 comments on that post. So imagine the
Yeah,
number of people working in women's sports.
correct, correct,
That's
correct.
just amazing.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting that number. When I saw that number,
I
I was
wasn't
like,
expecting.
I was like,
I
okay,
wasn't
there are
expecting that
people
many.
working in this field.
Yeah, there are so many people working in women's sports. The only thing remains is to connect them to each other. And I am getting so much response. There's such an enthusiasm about women's sports in India right now. It's on upturn, right? It's like
Correct. Yeah,
exponential graph upwards.
correct.
Um, so yeah, so much to do and so much already being done. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So now, like, even I know, like, one organization, like, tomorrow if somebody asks me, like, is there an organization which is working in this field, I can, comfortably and proudly tell them, yes, like, Vaidehi Vaidya is there and she's working and she can connect you to so many people. I mean,
yeah,
this ecosystem problem I thought shouldn't have been there, because, since this field is not very big, it's at a nascent stage, I would say. So, I mean, the communication should be much stronger that way.
yeah. Even I thought it's not big, but
Yeah,
yes, it is at nascent stage,
yeah.
but it is big. I mean, there
Okay.
are like people working in women's sports at so many different level. I was of the same opinion as you. I
Hmm.
thought there would be uh, very few organizations working
Hmm.
in women's sports, or like there will be very few
Yeah,
initiatives.
like you could count it on your
uh,
fingers.
yeah, exactly. But then I
Yeah.
started posting about it on LinkedIn, on different social media platforms and stuff like that, and the response that I got was overwhelming. So yeah, I am like, what am I going to do with this network that I'm getting already? So it's big. It's going to go. It's going to grow into something amazing. I'm sure about it.
Amazing. This
Yeah.
was so. I mean, it was a pleasure to listen that there's so many people who are already working in this field, and we can just expect more and more talent to come up and represent their states and especially country. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure, like, if we're already doing good, and especially at least we're doing better than our own men's team, we can just go on doing better and better from there.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, I agree with you, and I think yeah. I mean, one thing I would say before going is I prefer not to compare men's and women's sports team, because you have to understand men's team has a lot many teams playing, right?
okay,
As compared to
the
women's
women's
team,
team. Yeah.
obviously they almost similar, but yeah. So I mean, our men's team and our women's team both should target being in top 10 first, or top 10 in Asia first.
Correct.
uh,
I was coming to that. Yeah.
yeah, stepwise I think we have potential. Our girls team definitely has potential. We have some phenomenal players in girls team. Bala Devi, if you know who she is,
Yes.
she's the first player, women's player, to play for Rangers,
Rangers.
which is the club.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
phenomenal player. I mean, you see her on ground, and she's already playing in starting 11, and
Mm.
she's that kind of talent. So we have talent, but we need to plan stepwise progress. We can do it, but if we in like first step, if we dream of World Cup, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We have to first
Set.
win Asia Cup,
Yeah.
but then we have to win like whatever regional or continental tournament there is, and then slowly and steadily. And we are competing with one of the best teams. Like Japanese team is like amazing.
Yeah.
If you look at them,
Correct.
amazing teams. So first we need to think about beating them, and then we can think about winning World Cup. But that should be the longer dream for sure, and we
Absolutely.
have potential to do
Without a
that.
doubt.
Yeah,
So, really, that brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you so
absolutely.
much. I'm sure many things that I didn't know, and I'm sure all the people who would be watching relating to it, they wouldn't be knowing about it at all. I mean, in the Northeast, the way they have the local football, it's such a great with sarcasm. I wouldn't have imagined the ecosystem, the things you told me about the Indian women football ecosystem is the work you would. Thank you so much. People who were the organization Instagram, so their profile, the company page in the description below. You can go and check out her work over there. And if you would like to get, if you'd like to connect further with her and her organization, you can totally do that. And she has already told you she's, very much looking forward to, connecting with more and more people. And if you like this video, like and subscribe this channel. We'll be getting, many more such interesting individuals with us who will be sharing such really cool stories. About fields. So thank you so much, guys, again. It was a pleasure talking to all of you, being with you, and have a good day and stay safe. Bye bye. Ciao. Thank you so much, Wendy. Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here and talking to you. It was fun.
Thank you.
As